Welcome to the City Current Radio Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good in our community. And we're honored to kick it off talking about employee benefits. We're going to give you a lot of good advice that you can use for your business and organization. We are joined by Ross Carmichael. He is the Managing Director of Compliance and Operations, and also Ryan Campbell, an employee benefits producer. How are you two guys doing?
Doing great. Glad to be here.
Ross, give us a little background on Higginbotham.
Sure. Higginbotham, we're a full-service insurance brokerage firm founded in 1948. So full service meaning property casualty, employee benefits, retirement plans, life insurance, personal lines, etc. We have offices all across the country from California to Florida, and we're one of the top 20 largest brokerage firms in the country.
Talk about day one services and day two services, because I know that's something that makes Higginbotham special.
Sure. Day one is basically going to be the producers going out and binding coverage, placing coverage, getting employers the best cost coverage, cash flow, et cetera, making sure that their benefits package, whether it's on the benefit side or their coverage on the P&C side, is the right coverage for that particular company. And then basically day two is everything that comes from day two through day 365 to keep claims down, keep costs down, help you communicate to your employees, handle risk management, contract review, et cetera.
So Ryan, let's switch over to you. Talk about when you say employee benefits, what does that mean? Because you think health insurance, but it's a lot more than that. So define employee benefits.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really broad term, whether that be medical insurance, employee benefits, but what we're really charged with doing is working directly with the employer to help enhance, enrich, and engage the members when it comes to medical insurance. And I'd probably say communication and really engaging with the employees as a whole is more important than ever with the times that we have with employees being remote and not being in the office.
So talk about some of the different areas when you talk about employee benefits. Dive in a little bit to the minutia. Tease us a little bit a la carte, if you will, when it comes to health, dental, vision, some of the different things that is a specialization.
Yeah, I mean, I would say 90% of the focus a lot of the time shouldn't be, but is really on the medical insurance. There's a lot of different trends that we see out there in the industry right now. I'd probably say a lot of groups that are in the fully insured market are trying to migrate over to different concepts like private exchanges. Self-funded groups trying to look for some relief and holding hands with like-minded employers and utilizing a captive. And then the dental, vision, life, disability are just, the same things that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, trying to get the best coverage, increase terms and conditions for members, and just kind of enhance that package as a whole.
And I would say too, just, there's a lot going on too with HR departments really want to round out that benefit package and offer a complete suite of services to their employees. And with younger generations, younger people entering the workforce, we're seeing a lot around student loan repayment, pet insurance, identity theft, prepaid legal, those kind of things. So a lot of your traditional medical, dental, vision benefit package that you would get with a company has really been rounded out and to be a true compensation total comp package for a lot of employers.
How has the pandemic impacted that, or has it, in terms of the benefits that employees are looking now, that full comprehensive package? How has the pandemic impacted that?
I would say, obviously, medical insurance has been a huge deal. A lot of things related to COVID, testing, vaccinations, et cetera, have been covered by employers. Where we've seen an absolute just astronomical growth is actually the request and the utilization for mental health. So a lot of providers have started doing virtual visits, standalone mental health things, employers adding EAP programs to their package of offerings to offer that mental health benefit. And we've also seen just a huge shift to virtual visits. So remote care has become a huge thing in the last year.
Ryan, when you're sitting down with a prospect or even a client and kind of going through on the assessment side, what are some of the things, the questions that you like to ask, the things that you're looking for to figure out, okay, where do we need to start taking this to offer the best solutions?
The way I kind of compartmentalize it is two different areas. One would be kind of strategy, what you're doing with the plan design, mitigating claims, fully understanding where those claims are coming from and how you're doing to really attack and reduce those claims long term. And then the other side would really be administration, and kind of to Ross's point, adding these different areas and enhancing kind of the total comp adds more work for the HR department. So how are we streamlining, leveraging technology to better engage those members, maybe steer them to quality of care and centers of excellence is what a term that we like to use. And for lack of a better term, that might be direct contracting with a primary care physician or a certain outpatient facility to get better rates. But really, it's constant dialogue with the employer throughout the year. So one of the questions we might start off with is, hey, help me understand how your current broker's engaging with you and your team throughout the year. And we get one of two answers. One is kind of crickets. They just come out here for renewal. Or it's, hey, this is what we're doing, but what are we not doing, right? And that can dovetail to a couple different buckets that we start kind of going down from a prospective client viewpoint.
You mentioned captives, and I think there's a number of things that are more current trends, innovations, if you will, but describe captives, and then we'll start kind of going down that path. But just what is a captive?
So employers need to buy reinsurance, even if they're partially self-funded. There is a portion of insurance that's part of their plan. And right now, they're basically going out to the BUCAs, Blue Cross, United, Aetna, Cigna. Nothing right, wrong, or indifferent about that. But hey, is there an alternative out there? Because we're getting hammered on these trend increases each year, even if we're stewarding our plan well and being mindful of our claims. So what we've really done is engage our current clients and then just try to educate prospective clients on, hey, there's an alternative option out there, and that's potentially a captive, which we do really good in-house, but there's also external captives that we partner with. And basically it's like-minded employers holding hands, and they have certain prerequisites in place for you to be able to participate in that captive. And the goal here is not only leveraging economies of scale to get better rates, but they're leveraging external solutions like PBMs or pharmacy benefit managers, direct contracting, and the list kind of goes on and on. So all of that's already being bundled together. And a lot of the times we're getting a lot better rates than we would be with the standard, market, the BUCAs out there.
Yeah. Ross, what would be a trend that has your attention?
I would say there is a lot that's coming down the pipeline, just on the employer stand front, related to how they explain their benefits to their employees and just the amount of information that employees are going to be getting. Obviously, we're slowly coming to an end, hopefully, of everything related to COVID. So all the paid sick leave under the CARES Act, we're still in the middle of all of the COBRA subsidies. So that's a huge issue that employers are going to be dealing with until September. And that, again, may or may not get extended based upon the transportation bill or what else kind of gets funneled into some of those things. But pretty much in the next year to 2 years, what we're going to be seeing is a lot around transparency. So both providers and insurance carriers providing a lot more transparency as the actual cost of procedures, drugs, et cetera. A lot more disclosure around, again, mental health. There are rules around mental health, and you have to make sure that what you're offering on the benefit side from a mental health standpoint matches up with what you're offering from a medical and surgical benefit standpoint. There has to be parity. So there's just a lot that's going to happen in the next probably 18 months with employers that they're going to have to work with their carriers, TPAs, et cetera, on a lot of these new disclosures and making sure that it's funneling down to their employees.
Let's go in the legal realm because this is a fun one for you. Before we do, though, give a little bit of your background because you have a very unique background and vantage point on this. So give a little bit of your background.
So I went straight from law school to the Department of Labor. And so I was there about 7 years. So my background is compliance and enforcement of employer-sponsored benefit plans, so both health plans and pension plans. And then actually, so within that office, I was in the Dallas regional office, which covered a 5-state region. And I was kind of involved in the rollout of the Affordable Care Act. So I was going to DC and working with other people in the Department of Labor on how the Affordable Care Act was going to be rolled out and how the DOL was going to enforce it. And then I would come back to Dallas and train everybody in our office on our enforcement provisions within the Affordable Care Act. And then around 2012, I kind of had been involved long enough since the passage of that I was going out and talking to employers and had kind of seen that they had no idea what was coming. The amount of paperwork that was involved, the amount of regulation that was involved, and came over on the private side and been working at Higginbotham since 2012 with our clients on compliance-related issues. So all the fun acronyms that we get to deal with, like ERISA, COBRA, HIPAA, FMLA, Partridge in a Pear Tree, all those fun things. So all the acronyms that HR people love dealing with on a day-to-day basis.
Well, you've got the mic, so let's have some fun with this. Give us a couple of things that you wish every business owner, especially in the HR realm, knew around the idea of legal compliance operations. What are some of the things you want everyone to know?
Sure. The first thing, what I would challenge most employers to think about is that basically, if you are sponsoring any sort of employee benefit plan, especially if it's on a pre-tax basis, there's a number of regulations you have to deal with that you might think were too small, right? So you may think you're too small for, you only have 10 employees, so you may not be subject to COBRA, but you may be in a state that has state continuation like Texas, Tennessee, et cetera, or California. There's also certain things you have to do with your employees. So you have to have plan documents that you give your employees that spell out all the rules of the plan, that spell out how they file a claim, how they appeal a claim, what the eligibility provisions are, and that has to be given to all employees that are enrolled under the plan. And a lot of employers think that ERISA only starts when you've got 100 employees or 50 employees or at a certain threshold, but it literally is any non-public, non-church sponsored employee benefit plan from a private employer with more than 2 employees on the plan. So that really is, I think, a misunderstood provision that a lot of small employers just don't understand, that there are compliance things they have to deal with, and they don't pop up until there's an issue, right? So you have one of those employees that's complaining to the DOL or something like that. I think that's a key threshold. There's also a lot of confusion around some disclosures and filing. So we've talked about the disclosures that have to go to employees. There's also federal filings with the government, that if you have more than 100 employees on any benefit plan, you have to file with the government. It's a form called a 5500. What we see a lot is that employers think that's related only to medical. So they may only have 50 or 75 employees enrolled in medical, but they've got, let's say, they give a $10,000 life insurance, guaranteed life insurance policy to all their employees, but they've got 120 employees. So you've got 120 employees on your life insurance plan. You should be filing a 5500 with the DOL every year on that plan. So there's basically just, and it's a pretty straightforward checklist, but there's just a checklist of things that you look at, that if you're an employer that has any sort of benefit plan, whether it's a 401k, a simple IRA, or just any sort of health insurance or what we call a welfare plan, there's pretty much just a simple checklist of things that you really need to make sure that, we're doing this, we're doing it correctly. And once you've got that foundation built, it's really easy to build upon it when you've got that solid compliance foundation, when new rules, regulations, et cetera, come out.
And Ross has been really instrumental in my clients as well as everybody else here when it comes to making them aware of new legislation that's coming down the pipeline. Nothing is passed overnight and goes into effect. So we're really trying to educate our members well ahead of time, whether that be a webinar or just individual legislative changes that are applicable to a certain segment of employers, but also just the ability for us to have a consolidation on the compliance side, the 5500, the POP, the RAP. And I make a joke. I took Ross out to a meeting one time and I said, yeah, Ross can help out here. He used to be an ERISA attorney, and he kind of kicked me and said, well, I'm still an ERISA attorney. And I was like, okay, well, I won't ever say that again. So yeah, I mean, it's just been really successful in helping some groups. I mean, we even pick up, they still have outstanding ACA filing issues back in 2018. We're working through one right now. We're helping advise the employer on how they should have filed it and what they need to do moving forward to get compliant. And they're really appreciative. I think it creates a lot of stickiness with our clients to have that sort of a resource and everything under one umbrella, just the consistency there for sure.
And any employer that was holding on to that last facet of maybe the ACA will be unconstitutional. I'm sure everyone saw that today. Supreme Court came out and kind of rejected one of the very last challenges that we've seen to the ACA. So here we are 11 years later, and hopefully that's going to be the last argument or the last gasp of trying to rule that this law is unconstitutional, because we're kind of here and we're dealing with it now.
For each of you, what are some words of encouragement, when you look at 2021, obviously, and beyond, what are some things that have your attention in a good way? What are some words of encouragement for where we're headed with all this?
Well, with any challenging situation requires, different solutions and options. So I'd say there's companies popping up left and right that are offering some of these virtual visits, EAP programs, mental health, that are very valuable to the clients who have a need in that space, or technology, so employees can enroll and engage. pricing transparency tools. If they need an MRI or an outpatient procedure, they can actually go onto their phone and figure out where is going to be the best place for me to go for a rotator cuff surgery or just an image, right? But I think what we're charged with as being kind of the broker consultant is not just the lackadaisical mindset of renewing a group each year. That's the day one side of it. But it's really the day two, staying engaged with our clients throughout the year to educate them. So what we're trying to do is be very intentional with setting touch points up throughout the year, whether that be quarterly or monthly, and just say, hey, client, we don't really have anything to talk about because there's no outstanding issues, but let's spend this time talking about this new solution you might not have heard about before. And I think they're being really receptive to that. And again, that just creates a long-term client. So, I kind of appreciate the changes that are going on right now.
Yeah.
And I would say from the compliance standpoint, I like the fact that we kind of are in a little bit of a steady state. The last, going from a Democratic administration to a Republican administration back to a Democratic administration, we kind of, and especially Democratic administration where Biden was the vice president under Obama when the Affordable Care Act rolled out, we kind of have a playbook to a degree of where we're going with healthcare and a lot of the things that this administration is looking forward to. And then what I would say, kind of piggybacking on what Ryan said, is just with new rules, regulations, changes in times comes innovation. And historically, you were either fully insured or you were self-funded, right? And you were with a carrier or you were with not with a carrier. And I would just say that there are so many different avenues that are available for employers now, all the way down to 10 employees, that you don't just have to be fully insured with one of the BUCAs, et cetera. Mm-hmm. There's so many different avenues that employers can take, and a lot of it is dependent upon risk tolerance, imagination, and those kind of things. And so we're really seeing employers and vendors and different parties coming to the table and bringing new technology, new solutions to an industry that's been around for hundreds of years.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap up. Tell everyone where to go. Website, email, social media. Where do we go to learn more about Higginbotham?
Yeah, so we just had a new brand rollout we're super excited about. We changed some of our logo. I'd encourage everybody to go look at the website because it's really encompassing of who we are as a people, culture, and what we do. But because of our footprint being so local in the different communities, there's going to be an office where people live and reside there that are being able to help you out personally and employers, and we just enjoy the interaction with people.
And that is, the website's higginbotham.net. And then obviously we're on all social, so we're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, et cetera. So we're constantly posting blog updates, compliance updates, like our SCOTUS update today. So again, anyone that's interested can just come and check us out. And if they got any questions, there's a contact us button on the website.
Mm-hmm. This makes it very, very easy. It's higginbotham.net and now higginbotham.com as well. And as you mentioned, on all the social channels. So very easy to find. Ross, Ryan, thank you guys for all you do. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you,
Jeremy.
Jeremy.
Thank you very much.